Hello everybody, here we are again with a regular weekly analysis video for commodities and Forex. The video analysis that I've been doing almost without fail for the last 2 years. And this is probably the last video that I will make. And if you'd like to know why, well, stick around to the end of the video and I will share that reason with you. But for now, let's jump into the charts and go ahead and see what is happening for this upcoming week, which is starting on the 5th of May 2025. And of course we need to be sure and look at the news. That's just forexfactory.com, our go-to website. The only thing I want to bring to your attention this week is the FOMC, and this is the federal funds rate. They will either raise or lower the interest rate, and it's expected that they will keep it the same. Okay, Donald Duck would like to see Jerome Powell lower the interest rates immediately. That's what he keeps saying. But we know Jerome Powell has been very steadfast in his policy, and he's doing a great job regulating inflation, trying to control inflation and monetary supply, etc., all the things that he does. So not expected to see any lowering or raising of the interest rate. However, okay, this FOMC is a big mover and shaker. So you can expect a lot of volatilities with currencies and commodities. Just be sure and check forexfactory.com for your local times. And then of course it always pays that we look at the greed and fear index. All right, remember 2 weeks ago it was at 4, the extreme fear in the market, and it moved up last week to 35. And then this week, and this is up to date, we have a rating of 43. So a lot less fear in the market, still on the fear scale, but moving up to neutral, which means there's a lot less fear in the market. People are still uncertain, still a lot of uncertainty in the market, but less fear than there was just a couple of weeks ago. And this certainly affects how the markets move. And starting off with gold, this is the sell limit that I gave you last week with an entry price at 33.20, and that opened immediately on the beginning of the market on Monday last week and went straight into profit. It did come back, we had a slight pullback, went the wrong direction on late in the day, and then on Tuesday morning also. But then if you had held on to this trade, wow, this is a move of over 1,000 pips throughout the week. It would have been a fantastic move. But even if you only did it as a day trade, which these trades I'm sharing with you will usually last at least 1 or 2 days, sometimes longer. And this one with gold, if you were willing to accept some risk, okay, or wherever, it depends on where you put your stop loss, and held on to that during the week, or either got out early in the trade and then re-entered the trade when it came back to our major support level there at 33.20 and held that throughout Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you would have done extremely well. Yes, it was very volatile on Friday with the non-farm payrolls, but you could have easily closed that during the U.S. session on Thursday with a profit of over 1,000 pips. And remember, if you're trading one lot, 1,000 pips is $10,000. So what happened with the UJ? The USD JPY, as with all of these pairs, they lasted only for 1 day. This is just the way the market is moving in these times. Okay, it hasn't always been this way, but we have to be adaptable to the market. The market changes, we have to adapt to the changes. This USD JPY sell limit that I gave you was actually market execution. I said when the market opens on Monday to just open that trade, and if you did that throughout the end of the day by the close of the US session, you would have done very well on the UJ. And then looking at the major US pairs, this is the Euro USD, and we had a buy limit on that one, and that one opened on Monday during the after the Asian session, just before the London session, and went up for the entire day. So by the end of the US session, you would have had good profit on the Euro US before it turned around and went the wrong direction. The odd US was also very good, and that one opened on Monday morning and was good for the entire day. If you closed that one at the end of the US session, you would have had good profit. And then the New Zealand US was also very good, opened on the beginning of the market on Monday, and then went a little bit into profit before turning around going the wrong direction, but that again was a nice day trade. Then the pound US was also very good. It didn't quite hit the pending order, okay, about 10 pips away from our pending order. But as I've told you many times, if you see the momentum, once it gets started, you can go ahead and enter the trade. And this one would have turned out very well. It did extremely well, but only for one day before doing an absolute flip-flop and coming back to where it started out the week. And then the USD CAD, okay, this one missed the pending order by just 2 pips. All right, but then it did start to go in the right direction. If you'd held on that one throughout the end of the week till almost the close of the U.S. session, this is during the non-farm payrolls, all of this volatility here, but this was an extremely profitable trade on the USD CAD. And let's just have a quick look and see what Bitcoin did. Well, Bitcoin is finally on the move. Okay, we had a long dry session here with the Bitcoin staying around 85,000 for about 2 weeks after hitting a low of 78,000, and then coming up and staying around 90,000, not for very long, broke completely above that, went up to 95,000 where it has stayed for the last 2 weeks. But now, just this last week, starting to break above that. We did actually get 98,000 on Wednesday. It's come down a little bit over the weekend, but that looks like it's starting to head back up to 100,000 and beyond. Great news for the Bitcoin hodlers. All right, let's jump over and have a look at the pending orders that I have for you this upcoming week. But before we do that, as you know, I always like to look at the dollar index. This is the DXY. And for a couple of weeks, we've been seeing really what I call a candlestick sandwich. Okay, we're continuing to see a decline of the US dollar, and then, you know, it seems like, oh, suddenly the dollar is gaining strength. No, the dollar is not gaining strength. Okay, it's still in this very, very tight area here, and we are going to continue to see a decline of the US dollar. I'm really convinced of that for various factors. But we had a big move down during the non-farms, and then it tried to recover before the closing of the U.S. session. But we're very likely to see that come down here to the bottom of our candlestick sandwich, and then perhaps next week break below that. Continuing decline of the U.S. dollar. And the JPY basket. Wow, we're seeing an unusual move here. What happened? Well, if you follow the news, you know what happened. All right, during the midweek, we had some news from the Central Bank of Japan that came out and said the economic growth was going to be half of what they expected. So that's not good for the Japanese economy. And they also did not lower or raise the interest rates. So that was bad news for the Japanese yen, and we saw it just crash on Thursday. A little bit of a recovery on Friday, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But the Japanese yen not doing very well at the moment. We might see some recovery, but let's see if the Central Bank of Japan is going to come in with any methods to support the currency. Now let's go and look at gold. Okay, these are the pending orders that I have in place for you, and I have a sell limit. All right, a sell limit on gold. Yes. You know, we see this bearish movement that we've been seeing for the last 10 days, and we could possibly come back down and test our 3,200 level, 3,200. It's not far away from that now, okay? So, and we're just right below the 3,245. So when that comes up and touches that pending order will execute. All right, and then we should see a continuing decline at least down to 3,200, 3,200, before our next support level would be about, well, let's say 3,160 in that range, 3,160 would be our next minor support level. But we have major support at 3,200, very strong psychological number, so it might have difficulty breaking below that. But I do expect to see some continuous bearish movement on gold, so a sell limit at 3,245. Then the UJ, all right, I have a buy limit on that one, okay? And that's a little bit unusual, I know. I've been saying all year long you can just sell the UJ. But this is based not on the strength of the US dollar, but it's based on the weakness of the Japanese yen. This order for this week. All right, so a buy limit based on the weakness of the Japanese yen with the entry price at 144.70. A buy limit, okay, buy limit on the UJ, at least for this week. And then down with the major pairs, let's see the Euro US and a buy. Okay, just when the market opens, buy the Euro US. The European economy is doing well. It's going to continue to do well. And so I'm still bullish on the major US pairs. Buy the Euro US market execution order. The odd US is also a buy, but a buy limit. Let it pull back just a little bit to our support level there. Was resistance, has now become support, and that is 0.6440. Then the New Zealand US, and also a buy limit, with our resistance has become support. It was resistance, has now become support again. Okay, with the price, the entry for the buy limit on the New Zealand US, 0.5935. And then the pound US, and that is also a buy. Okay, market execution. The pound is doing great against the US dollar. Okay, yeah, you get these retracements, these pullbacks, but I'm still bullish on the pound US, so just buy. It's right at our support level. It was resistance, became support, was support here, is support again. So just buy on market execution. When the market opens on Monday morning, just buy the pound US. And then the USD CAD. All right, let's keep selling the USD CAD. All right, let it pull back to our what was support back here, and then it kind of was support, resistance, became support, and then became resistance again, support. It's really been a candlestick sandwich for the last couple of weeks, but I do expect to see continuing decline of the USD CAD. Okay, so a sell limit on the USD CAD, let it pull back up just a little bit to our resistance line there at 1.3825. Okay, everyone, that's all that I have for you this week, which is starting on the 5th of May, 2025. And as I said in the beginning, this is probably the last weekly analysis video that I will do, at least for some time. The reason being, I've done these weekly analysis videos almost without fail for the last couple of years. And the reason I'm going to discontinue them is because my perception is that it's not benefiting anyone. At least that's my perception. I'm not getting any subscriber engagement whatsoever. No questions, no comments, nothing. So I'm not just doing these for my own personal benefit. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort with editing, etc., to put these together. So if it's not benefiting you guys, then I'm not going to keep doing them. So I'm going to change my strategy just a little bit. I'll stop with the weekly analysis videos, and I will start doing daily YouTube shorts, at least almost daily, where I will come out with perhaps a pending order or a buy or a sell trade on a daily basis. And I'll do one of those every day. So if you are subscribed to the channel, you should get notified when I make those, and you'll be able to follow along. All right, other than that, if you have any comments or questions, as I always request at the end of every video, leave them below this video. I will get back to you. And for sure, if you're the first timer here, don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell so you'll be notified every time I make one of these videos or one of my YouTube shorts. And for sure, don't forget to like, love, and share. And I'll see you again in the next video.